good. Did you do like
Professional.
Yeah, he was doing it. I had to do it real quick.
Oh, okay.
Welcome back. It Sounds of the Nighttime with Matt Kliskowski.
Oh, dude, I should have queued up. You didn't tell me that. I could have queued up sounds.
Okay, sorry. Hey, so I want to talk a little bit about my India trip here. So I asked our web crew to kind of get my blog lined up here. But so on the cover of my book is this shot, and if you look at my computer here, so this is the cover shot. Now, I built the book first in iPhoto, because that's what I usually use to build books, that or Aperture. And then I thought, I wonder if I can build it in Lightroom 4. Mm-hmm. And I built it great. It worked wonderfully well. In fact, there were things I was able to do in Lightroom 4 that I couldn't do in iPhoto or Aperture. Maybe in Aperture, but certainly not in iPhoto. You know what? Can I tell you one thing? Because somebody asked me specifically. I was talking to a buddy.
What's the one thing?
The one thing is, in iPhoto, if you build a book, you say, I want my theme to be travel. I want my theme to be wedding, whatever. In Lightroom, you can choose page by page what you want your theme to be. Mm-hmm. The left page can be contemporary. The right page can be wedding. The next page can be travel. I mean, you can pick any theme that you want, and you can create your own custom themes and templates. It ain't easy, I'll tell you that part. The actual creating of your own custom ones, woo! But because it's not really built in the program, it's kind of a backdoor thing that you have to, it's not for the
InDesign and all kinds of.
Yeah, it's good. It's all good. But anyway, the book thing, it's fantastic. Some of the things that it lets you do, it has a lot more control. Where Lightroom does a wonderful job, and Lightroom's is drag and drop just like iPhotos. Mm-hmm. But you get that next level of control that you don't get in iPhoto. So I love that. But here's my secret thing. So I go to the Taj Mahal. It's foggy as anything. The fog was so dense it was crazy. So I go 3 times because every day they keep telling me, no, tomorrow it's going to be better. And it was never better. So I'm here, and I was the 6th person in line to come to the Taj Mahal. So first, a guy sees this picture where there's nobody there, and he says, this picture has been modified in Photoshop. This is not what's in front of the Taj Mahal, this thing. And he's right. You know why? This isn't the front of the Taj Mahal. This is the side of the Taj Mahal. The front of the Taj Mahal is over there. So there is a mosque on either side of the Taj Mahal. This is the side view from the Taj Mahal. Now, but that's not the thing. Do you see this lone woman over here?
Yeah.
This lone woman, I thought, what are the chances? So here's what happens. I'm up here, and I'm a 6th person in. There's nobody at the Taj Mahal but me. There's like 5 or 6 people or whatever way back in the back taking that long picture. There's nobody there, and there were thousands and thousands of people there the day before. So I'm just thrilled. So I'm up here walking, and I hear these women crying from the mosque, and I'm like, ooh. So I come down these stairs, watch my thing. And I'm walking over here where you're supposed to take your shoes. Did they check your shoes in for a couple of bucks or whatever? And I noticed that it was open to get to the mosque, so I just jumped over, and I walked over to where the women were crying. When I got up here, they weren't crying. They were laughing hysterically, taking pictures of each other, which was relieved me. So one of the women walks over this way, and I go and sit down on the steps, and this woman walks by herself, and I'm like, oh my God, how perfect. The lone woman. But here's the secret. You know what the secret is? She's not Indian. She's a Japanese tourist dressed in a sari.
Wow.
I kid you not. That's what they were laughing about. These 2 Japanese women had dressed up in saris, and they're taking pictures of her like, and she goes out there, and I'm like taking all these pictures. I walked right up behind her with a 14 millimeter. And she turns around because I'm like right on her. But I had this beautiful sari and all, and I had to show her like, why am I taking your picture? So because you could see the back of the Taj Mahal and all. So that was it looks much more dramatic than it is because she was actually a Japanese tourist, which doesn't really make the photo look that good. So, but I had a lot of people ask about the post-processing. So I wanted to show you because here's the picture without I added that in Photoshop, the little bar there. But so here is some of the posts that I did to this stuff because people were like, well, how much post did you? These are the raw images. And it's like I didn't do that much, but I did the same thing again and again and again. One thing that I did consistently was try to eliminate background clutter, which is one of the things that kills a lot of photos. So I'm going to go over to the develop module, for example. And first thing I would do is just crop in a little tighter just to kind of get rid of some of the excess stuff. All right. Then the thing that I did consistently was to go down here to the effects panel, and I would just drag just the one slider, the amount slider, with it set to highlight priority to the left, to watch the edges of the image, and I would just darken it in a little bit. I did
like
that.
a vignette.
It is a vignette. It's absolutely. It's a post-crop vignette because
Gotcha.
It used to be where when you added a vignette and you cropped, you lost the vignette because you cropped away the edges.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is post-cropped and it. So I would add just a little bit. Then the other thing I would do at this point is I would basically do two more things. I would add some clarity. Clarity enhances the texture in anything. It adds mid-tone contrast technically. So I would increase the contrast a bit. Look what it does for his face. Just increasing the contrast. Right? Mm-hmm. So I would increase the contrast, and then I would increase the vibrance a little bit. The vibrance makes the colors that are dull more vibrant, but it kind of leaves colors that are already vibrant kind of there, but it has a... He shoved it up under his butt.
No.
I couldn't. The volume won't work. So
Okay. And then it doesn't affect flesh tone as much. But here is a trick that I would do that uses a plugin. So I'm going to zip out of Lightroom real quick, and I would go over here to Photoshop. In Photoshop, I would go to my probably most used plugin, which is Nik Software's Color Effects Pro 4. Use this?
No, I
Dude,
don't.
This is the best.
Oh, yeah,
Oh my gosh.
it's magical.
It's
It's a freaking magical plugin. All
Do you
right.
use actions in Photoshop for anything?
not really.
All right.
Go to
It's
tonal.
way better than those anyway.
You go to tonal
Yeah.
contrast, and you've got a choice of the default or a strong or high pass or softening. And applied to the whole image, they look funky. Tonal contrast especially looks bad with shallow depth of field. But I'm just going to choose strong. Look what it does to his face and skin. That looks phenomenal. But the rest of the photo, it kind of trashes. So I click OK. Now watch his skin. Wait for it. Wait for it. And 3 days later, stick with me. Don't move, don't breathe, don't make a sound. It's going particularly slow today. Cricket sound. Thank you, Matt. Watch the skin. Here it comes eventually. Now, option click on the layer mask to hide that entire thing. So here's the layer. Option click the layer mask. Then you go in here with a paintbrush, and I would paint over just his skin. And it brings in that wonderful texture.
Because I was going to say, it was starting to look very HDR.
But I'm not done. I'm not done.
Because my philosophy is if you ever say, should I HDR this portrait? The answer is no.
Okay, but I didn't.
But this looks nice.
But I'm not done.
Oh, you're about to HDR it?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm going to make it more subtle now.
All
So
right.
here's the thing. When you do that tonal contrast, you notice the color changed a bit. Look at his skin, watch.
Yeah.
So you change the blend mode from normal to luminosity, and look at the skin.
Bam.
It gets the original color back, and then you use the opacity slider as kind of your volume control. If it's too much, you just go in here and dial into where it looks right. I would say maybe it's 70% about right there. But look what it did for the whole photo. And it doesn't look HDR. And then you just send it back to just
Oh, it's
merge
great.
it, close it, and go back. So that's a lot of what now I didn't do that to every photo, of course. I didn't do the HDR, I mean the tonal. Look at before and after. So it does a nice job on the skin. But for a lot of the photos like this one, so typical thing, right? I would go in, go to effects, darken the edges a little bit, and then do the same two things. Go into clarity, increase the clarity, a little bit of vibrance, done.
And dude, Lightroom 4 beta's
It does it
clarity
even
is
better.
freaking-
The clarity
that's- yeah.
is dramatically better. I want to make a statement about that as well. Let me just go to another one here. Hey, this guy, can I tell you this shot? One of the things that I struggle with personally, and I know that we're running out of time, but we started 5 minutes late. I'm only 1 minute over.
You'll all get a refund for all the money you spent watching this.
You weren't because you had that look. It's our director. She gets very cranky when we run over.
Oh, you should have seen her last week.
I can't imagine. So this guy, number one, I need to crop this a little better. So let me just crop it real quick. So let's crop him in. But I'm walking by, and I got to tell you, I don't know how you are about this, Zach, but for me, I find it very hard to do what Jay Maisel does and just shoot people on the street and all that kind of stuff. I'm very aware of them getting upset or shooting someone that wouldn't want to shoot. You don't care?
I've gotten a lot more comfortable with it. I love shooting on the streets, and I'm getting more and more and more comfortable. And there's a guy on Instagram I follow named Rich NYC, and he shoots all iPhone street photography. And I was in New York once, and I was like, I got to meet this guy. I put a shout out to him, met up. I said, I just want to follow you for an hour. I want to see how you do what you do. And he just does street photography with an iPhone, but he'll be this close to you.
How does he get away with that?
He's just
Especially in New York. bam.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really fantastic what he does. And but the more and more I shoot street, the more comfortable I am with it. And
Well, that's kind of the point I wanted
and
to make.
I have my little things to where if I'm taking your picture, let's say, and I pull my camera up and take your picture, and then suddenly you look at me and you start yelling at me. I just look at my camera, and I look at it, then I look past you,
Oh, like you're shooting something else?
Like something
and I'll pull
behind
the
him.
camera right back up, and you're sitting there going, and I'll take another picture of you, but I'll just look right past you,
That's clever.
and I'll look at, and then people, and they walk off.
So here's what happens to me.
I'm not really taking a picture.
I start at the beginning of the day, and I'm very, very timid to shoot people.
Yep.
And I shoot one, and I shoot two, and then the more I do it, by the end of the day, I'm shooting everybody. It really takes me a warm-up
Yeah.
period, and you have to kind of force yourself through it. And so in the first hour,
Absolutely.
I shoot 4 people. In
Yeah.
the second hour, I shoot 14. In the third hour, I'm shooting 43.
You're
You know, it's
running
just-
over children to get to them.
I'm running it right.
Yeah.
So this guy, I cheat a lot. Look, it's a 300 millimeter. I'm literally across the street, right, with a 300 millimeter. Well, it's the 28 to 300. It's a very small lens.
Right.
It's about the size of that one.
Gotcha.
So I see him over there, and he's giving me that look like, "Are you shooting me?" So I see him and I go, "Oh God, that guy's got a great face." And I actually take 2 steps back, turn and fire. And I look at him, and he gives me this look on this screen. Can you see it? He gives me this look right here. Like,
WTF.
right. And so I look at him, and this is exactly how I swear it happens like this. I look at him, and I go,
It's funny.
and he goes like this. He lit up. His whole face lit up, and he was like, "Hey!" So I would do that quite a bit. I would just give people a smile and stuff. And
Yep.
and I had people ask me, "Well, did people did they come up and offer for you to pay them?" They did. That didn't happen, except for in one case. I'm walking down the street. A guy's walking towards me like this, and I see him, and I look at him, and he kind of looks at me, and I stop and take a shot. He stops and smiles, and woo, woo, and he's posing, and he looks very, very good. And as soon as I'm done, and I smile and I say thank you, he goes. He puts his hand out. So I went, and I gave him, I think 20 or 50 rupees, which is 37 cents.
Put an invoice in his hand next time.
Say no charge.
Yeah, it'll
Look,
be-
I usually charge $300 for a shoot.
Right.
This is free.
No, but I did find people were very friendly, very willing to do this.
Yeah.
So let me show you what I would do with him, which is when I see a photo that looks washed out like this, because he was kind of in the shade and all, I know that I want to bring up the blacks. It usually means just if I bring up the blacks, it's going to give me back contrast.
And you know what I always do? I always hold the Option key down when I'm sliding that.
Yeah. So you can
I
see
get
where
the
you're clipping
for print.
for print.
Because I'm always thinking of print.
You know
Even
what?
if I know it's going straight to the web, I'm still
Thinking of
programming
print.
for print.
All right, clarity, crank it up. Vibrance, crank it up. And then always finish off. Go to effects, add a little highlight priority, and you're there. Now, I will say this. The problem I see in this photo is that this is the brightest part of the photo, but I want you to look here. So I would fix that with the brush. I would go in with the adjustment brush. I would go to brightness and brighten his face up a little bit. That's too much. And bring that down.
You just changed his ethnicity.
Then hit new, and then go to brightness darken, and darken that wall. So I want that wall. I might even go to and lower the exposure a little bit. I don't want that wall to be the brightest thing. I want you to look over here first.
Right.
And I went a little overboard with it, but I pulled it back. See, this was changing his ethnicity. I'm down here, very slight, and maybe even add a
Photoshop.
little extra clarity. All right, so
Nice.
that's basically what I did. I do want to show you one last cheat. We're gonna have
I
to say
need to really
goodbye.
learn how to use brushes.
The brushes are great in Lightroom. They honestly are. So
They've
this
gotten
is one
better.
I had to cheat like mad. So I did a couple of things here. First, let me wait till it's done here. All right, we'll go to the develop module. So one of the things that I did, and I'll make the picture bigger so you can see a little better. Of course, I did the basic things. I added a lot of clarity. You can use a lot of clarity. Look what it does for the image. Look.
Oh, yeah.
So I added a lot of clarity because you can with things that have a lot of texture. Added a little bit of vibrance. I brought up the blacks just a little bit. And the whole thing is a little underexposed, so I brought it up. But at that point, you can't do a whole bunch. There are two things you could do. I could jump over to Photoshop, which I will do right now, and add some tonal contrast. And again, it's just a very high-powered contrast. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's just go duplicate the layer, and I'll just, since it was the last filter I used. I'll do this. But I can tell you sometimes it doesn't look good in the sky. It looks HDR and things. So I rarely will put it on the sky. We'll see how it looks here. It might look okay actually. Sometimes it looks good, but it doesn't always. So I prefer to put it where I need it, but then I have to show you the big cheat. But I kept telling people, you're going to be disappointed when I show you what I did because it's not a whole bunch of stuff. It's not a bunch of cool stuff. Like, all right, well, this guy doesn't look bad, really. Take a look.
It's not too bad.
A little halo-y.
It's a little
on
halo-y.
the clouds, but no.
Yeah. But what you could do is you could, say, add a layer mask and paint it maybe 50%. So half of it goes away and half of it stays. Let's go to actually 50%. I was just saying 50% doesn't do it. Apparently, you have to actually move the slider. How's that better? Mm-hmm. All right. So there, that kind of got rid of that. But here's what I'd had to do. So let me flatten these just for fun. I had to do this. I'm not proud of this, by the way, but...
You were never going to work for National Geographic.
Well, yeah, you don't do this if you're on assignment there.
Make it bigger.
So now you can see I have some things I have to deal with. I have to go in here with the clone stamp tool and fix this. And, you know, you can see what I have to do. I have to blend all this away and add some more clouds. And honestly, the easiest thing to do is really to do this. So when you're back here, put it up on its own layer. So you just have that. Mm-hmm. And then use the Tragic Wand tool to erase all this stuff around it. And then just hit delete. So then when you actually move it, you're only moving the post.
I kind of like it with two, though.
You know, you don't see that look a lot.
No.
People say, what are you going to do
With
different?
one leaning over,
what are you
too?
going to do different to the Taj Mahal? Do that,
Do that.
too.
It's a whole different take on it, man.
It is.
And it's subtle. I think most
subtle.
people miss it.
Most people would miss it.